Hello again, friends. It's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and today I'm presenting the new Paint-A-Flower Camellia Waterhouse stamp from Altenew. This is a lovely, large outline stamp, and I'm going to demonstrate ink smooshing and loose watercoloring today. So here's the loose watercoloring card, and again, it's done on watercolor paper. So the first thing I did was I stamped the image in a light colored ink and in a landscape orientation on a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 watercolor paper. So again, I'm leaving the stamp in the MISTI so that once I'm done painting, I can go back and heat emboss white embossing powder over the top. So I'm using the brush markers, the Tropical Fiesta set. So this is it's sun-kissed and fresh lemon. And then I used lime for the leaves, and you can see I just added the watercolor paint over there on my white palette, and that's kind of what I'm working off of. So here's the blooms and the leaf done. The next thing I'm going to do is grab the turquoise from the set and add it to the palette, and then I'm just going to watercolor the background here. So you can see I'm just adding lots of watercolor, lots of water. Again, the watercolor paper handles it very, very well. And so again, you can see that this doesn't quite look anything like the stamp, but again, that was intended because I'm doing the loose watercoloring technique. And you can see I didn't go all the way up to the 4 1/4 border on this piece because I knew I was going to do a mini slimline card. So I'm just kind of filling in the extra here. And so once I'm happy with that, I grabbed my water bottle and spritzed a little bit of water on it just for some dimension. And you'll see that in the final card. So I set it aside to dry, and I'm going to emphasize it has to be very dry before you use white embossing powder over the top. So again, here is the image with the embossing on top. So what I did was I trimmed it down. This is a mini slimline card. So I trimmed the watercolor piece down so that I could add it to the front of the card base. And the next thing I'll start doing is working on the sentiments. Because I used glue and tape runner to attach the watercolor piece, I always add extra weight to the top. So here I'm working with the Hugs die cut from the Hello and Hugs stamp and die set from Altenew, which is one of my favorites. I love the sentiments, so here I'm kind of looking at the sentiments, and I ended up using the Thankful for Our Friendship, and I just stamped that with obsidian ink. So here I'm going to put the card together. And so I decided to put the Hugs on the left-hand side, and then I'll add that sentiment onto the lower right-hand side. And in the end, I did add some faceted bling, which you'll see in the final photos. Or if you go over to my blog, you'll see the photos there. So I'm just trying to. There is my card minus the bling. So for the next card, this is just an ink smooshed card. So all I ended up doing was I grabbed a bunch of the ink cubes. So I used Orange Cream, Snapdragon, Warm Sunshine. And I just kind of smooshed them there on my craft mat. And so the Altenew inks work very well with the technique. So the next thing I did was grab my water bottle and just spray around. And then I got my fingers and got inky here by breaking up the boxes. And so I did one pass, and then I heat dried it, and then I did a second pass, which you'll see that's the final card. So I'm using the black obsidian Altenew ink to stamp that image at the top of that piece of watercolor paper, and I just stuck a piece of blue tape there to hold it so that I could actually stamp that image. And so kind of pressing it down again, and then I'll pull that little corner piece of blue tape and just focus on that corner to get a complete, actually it's a half image, but you know what I mean. So I thought that was really pretty. The next thing I'm going to do is just trim it down so that I can add it on an A2 card base and have a 1/4 inch border all around. So once I've got that trimmed, then it goes on the front of that A2 card base. So again, I used both glue. I tend to use glue and tape runner to attach it. So the next thing I did was I cut out that Hello, which is a fairly new stamp and die set that I really, really like. You'll see the link to that product below. But again, I went ahead and cut out the die cut and layered it a couple of times. And then I'm adding the sentiment there from the coordinating set. And so I've got that all set. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that sentiment to the bottom of the card. And look at how that sets off the black ink at the top. I just thought that was gorgeous. So I'm just kind of using my paper towel to get off the extra blobs of glue. And so here are my 2 cards. There's that one. Thought that turned out really, really nice, and you can see the bling on there. And then I've got this one, and whoops, I got to cut the extra sentiment strips off there. And so there is that one, and I ended up just adding a couple of gold sequins onto the top. So again, here are my 2 cards, and again, this is the Paint a Flower Camellia Waterhouse. And again, this is Terry with Terry's Mailbox. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Blogger, and YouTube. Would love to have you subscribe to any or all of my channels. Have a great day.